Hey guys, this is Eric from Figure Unboxing, and in this video we're going to take a look at the 112 Collective Space Ghost by Mezco. I've only recently jumped onto the Mezco 112 bandwagon, so I don't really have that many of them, but I have been really impressed with it though. And Space Ghost is definitely one of my favorite characters when I was in kindergarten. I used to watch the cartoon all the time. But anyways, here's the left of the box, here is the right of the box, and here's the back of the box. It's a really nice packaging. And let me just kind of like take this cover off so I can show you guys what's inside. There you go. And yeah, it has like a window packaging like all the other Mezco figures. And that looks very nice. And that's not wasting any more time, and bust this thing open and see what we got. And here we have the figures still in the packaging, and it does look like it comes with a lot of accessories, which is really awesome. I like all these translucent plastic, and we do have another tray over here for the stand and more effect parts. And that's not wasting any more time, and check out the figure itself. Alright, so here we have the figure itself, and I think it's a beautiful looking piece. It's a fairly simple design, but slick, and I really dig it. But I know some people don't like cloth goods in general, because they look a little bit baggy and not as muscular as regular plastic figures, right? But I think Mezco is trying really hard here. You can obviously tell this is a really muscular body under the suit, and they always have to find the right balance, right? If they make it too muscular, you're gonna tear something very easily, and that is the #1 concern I have with all these Mezco figures. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I don't own Mezco figures long enough to understand how durable they are. And I know it's going to happen eventually. Not today, not tomorrow, but it's going to happen. But we'll worry about that later, and let's check out the articulation and see what this figure can do. And for the articulation, this guy is fairly basic, and that's carefully go over from the neck down. I'm gonna go a little bit slower than usual because I don't want to tear anything and have to buy another one. Anyways, he can look up about this much, look down about this much, and he can turn his head no problem. And the whole thing is just on a bull peg, which I think is okay, because if they add another joint over here, it's gonna look weird for the character. And the shoulder, I don't think there's any pop-out gimmick or butterfly like other brands, but he can raise up about this much without stressing the suit too much. And you do have bicep swivel, and you do have a forearm swivel. You can curl about this much, and you do have the ball wrist as well. And for the ab crunch, he can bend forward about this much, and he can bend backwards about this much, and you do have some side to side movement. Not so much for the hip, but you do have it a little bit. And for the leg, you can raise it up all the way, but you have to be careful. Like, I just felt my suit there, almost ripped it. So yeah, just watch out. And you can kick up about this high, and you do have swivel over here. I believe there's a little bit of swivel, but mine's a little bit tough, so I'm not gonna force it. And you can bend about this much for the leg, so there's actually a pretty good range. I think it's a perfectly functional body down there, but you just have to be very careful with this suit. And side-to-side pivot is pretty decent. From what I've heard, they improve a lot, but yeah, I think it's still pretty Medicore. And you don't have a toe hinge. And that's it for the articulation, and let's check out the accessories. Oh yeah, before we get into the accessories, I forgot to talk about the wire cape. To be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about this because this is my first time experiencing wire cape. Again, I think it's really cool, and I know a lot of people like them, but I'm not sure about the durability. My wire is already popping out right out of the box, and let me know in the comments how you guys usually fix this kind of stuff, but it's a little bit of a bummer like this is happening, and I would prefer if they can include another cape that doesn't have a wire. But anyways, let's check out the accessories. Alright, so for the accessories, we can start with the default face, and it just looks really good. It looks exactly like how he'd look in a cartoon. And next up, we get a more angry expression, and it looks really good as well. And next up, we have a pair of karate chopping hands or flying hands, and let me see if he can fly. And yeah, he's able to do flying pose very well. And then we get a pair of display open hands, and these are pretty cool. And lastly, he came with a pair of hands for him to press the buttons, but unfortunately, he doesn't have the articulation to do it. He desperately needs a butterfly shoulder. And for those of you who are not familiar with the show, this is what he does. He will press the buttons on the wristband, and he can shoot out fire, ice, or heat waves. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember seeing him shooting out a lot of stuff and just kicking ass. But anyways, let's move on. We have a lot of effect parts. And for the effect parts, we can start with this one. I'm not 100% sure what this is, but I do believe this is when he's charging, or you can just use it as a fire punch. And one thing to note is that it's really a hassle to put this on because we have a lot of like spiky parts, and if that got into your clothes and you pull it out, you're screwed. And yeah, this is a really tight fit, and it's really hard to put this onto his peg. And it's kind of hard to remove it, and I'm gonna do this off camera. Yeah, after removing that, I can already see a little bit of a damage over here. I'm gonna be a little bit more careful, but if I continue to damage this, I don't think I'm gonna try out the effect parts. But anyways, let's move on. Alright, so next up we have the fire effect parts, and now I understand why The Amazing needed a glove. You really need a glove when you're handling this kind of stuff. I already fucked up the kneading like over here, and yeah, it kind of sucks. But anyways, let's move on. And next up, we have this green beam effect parts, and it looks pretty good. They're all a little bit heavy, but their joints are designed a certain way where it can actually like lock into position. Like he can hold it like right here, and it won't fall down. Like this part is really tough, and then you can move it up a little bit, and it will get tougher. And yeah, it looks pretty good. And next up, we have ice beam effect parts, and this looks pretty good. And this is only for right hand. They do have another hand over here that is molded on to the effect parts. And yeah, I like this one. And lastly, he came with a pair of hands that is attached onto the beam effect parts. I believe this is his signature pose where he's just like flying down and just shooting heat waves. From what I remember, like when I was in kindergarten. But anyways, let's move on. And then we also get his monkey companion. I'm actually really surprised how good the articulation is on this guy. He can look up, look down, he can turn his head, and you do have a functioning shoulder, bicep swivel, bicep curl, and no ab crunch, but you can move his leg. So yeah, this is very, very cool. Yep, and that's it for the accessories, and let's jump straight into the size comparison. And for the size comparison, let us start with the other Mezco 112 figures I have, and they look very good together. And next up, we have the One Punch Man by Figma, and is it just me or their color scheme is very similar? And next up, we have some SH Figuarts Dragon Ball figures, some Naruto SH Figuarts, some American IP SH Figuarts, and then we have the amazing Yamaguchi Spider-Man and Venom, and then we have some SH Figuarts Kamen Riders. And lastly, we have some recent Figma figures and Street Fighter Ryu. And let's jump straight into the final thoughts. Alright, so for the final thoughts, I highly recommend the figure. Especially for those of you who grew up watching a cartoon, you're gonna like this guy a lot. And he's pretty much the best and only choice in the market right now. Unless you're watching this in the future and there's a better one, in that case, please let us know in the comments. But in 2017, this is the best Space Ghost figure out there. Minus the color variants, of course. He is a little bit steep in price, but same goes with all the Mezco figures. They all cost around $80 plus or minus shipping. But I do think this guy is worth it because he comes with a lot of accessories. That is not very common nowadays. I guess his IP is a little bit cheaper like compared to Batman or Superman. But that said, he does suffer all the common issues with like cloth goods. I think cloth goods is like a double-edged sword. While it looks really good, the articulation really is just not there. Well, it's there, like everything is there, but it's very limiting. When I'm playing around with it, I'm really scared that I'm gonna tear something. But that is just like my personal opinion. Do let me know in the comments what you guys think. But again, I really like the figure a lot, and this is Eric. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.